So, Matt, talking about progress and innovation, I know that in your view, innovation happens more bottom up than top down. And by the way, I agree with you. But could you explain what this means and also share some examples of how this mindset really helps shape industries as well as economies?
Yes, I think this is a really important insight. Innovation. What I did for my book on innovation was I catalogued a whole series of stories about innovation from a long time ago and from very recently, and so on. And common themes emerged, and one of them was it's very bottom up, it's very emergent, it's very evolutionary, it's very serendipitous. In other words, it sets off in one direction, often has to go in another direction. It relies heavily on lots of people exchanging ideas, not on brilliant people sitting in ivory towers. And so and it's not very predictable, although in some sense it's inevitable that certain things get invented at certain times. So my favorite example to just illustrate that very clearly is that in October 1903, um, uh, um, uh, a brilliant man whose name I've suddenly forgotten. um, um, ah, anyway, sorry, I'll
It's
have
going
to
to come
come
back.
back.
It's one of those. It will be back.
It's on the tip of my tongue. But anyway, there was a brilliant guy who was the head of the Smithsonian Institution, and he got a grant from the U.S. government, $25,000, to build the first powered aeroplane. And because he was so clever, he didn't need to talk to anyone about how to do it. He did it in secret, in private, because he didn't want other people stealing his ideas. And then he launched the first powered airplane off the top of a boat on the Potomac River in front of a large crowd in October 1903. And of course, it crashed into the water immediately.
Mm,
It was a
mm,
disaster.
mm.
2 months later, on an island off North Carolina, two bicycle mechanics without a degree between them, called Orville and Wilbur Wright,
Yeah,
succeeded
right, the
where
right
he had
brothers.
failed. And what was so different about the way they had done it is they did not think they were the cleverest people in the room. They didn't think they were the cleverest people in Dayton, Ohio, even. They knew that because their sister had a degree and they didn't. Interestingly, that's a little detail that I enjoy. And But what they'd done is they'd done endless experiments with gliders, with kites, with wind tunnels. They'd also done a huge amount of picking the brains of other people elsewhere in the world. And, in Australia, in France, in Germany, elsewhere in America, to try and understand flight through other people's eyes. So they knew that this was a collective enterprise. It's not going to happen inside one brain, it's going to happen between brains, as it were. And they eventually felt they'd done enough experiments with gliders so they could put an engine on a plane and take off. And what that story tells me in microcosm is what I hear again and again about innovation from the rest of the world. That it isn't about having a brilliant idea and pursuing it. It's about doing a ton of experiments um, and gradually letting the truth emerge in a sort of bottom up way. And Thomas Edison said it best. He said, I haven't failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that don't work. And he tried 6,000 different types of plant material before he settled on the filament for his light bulb. So one of the things that tells me about innovation is that quite ordinary people can do it. It's not some special creativity juice that one or two people have got and the rest of us haven't. If you are prepared to swap ideas with other people, combine your thoughts, be prepared to change direction, be prepared to learn from trial and error, then you too can be an innovator. And I feel that the way we talk about this topic to school kids and others is too much. Um, we use words like creativity, which slightly implies that you've got to be a special person to do this. And I'm
Mm.
quite keen on saying no, ordinary people can be great innovators too.